You had the breakthrough. You got to the top of the mountain. You felt the shift until it didn't. Until somehow you were back where you started. What happened? More importantly, how do you stop that cycle? This video shares with you how to do that, why to do that, and how your life will change for the better forever through that. Does that sound good or cool or awesome? So here we are, y'all. Some of you have been with me for 5 videos. If not, you're okay. You might go back, but we'll see. Quick story. 2001. I was living in Spain. I went to Holland, to Humaniversity. Incredible university, therapy center. Ooh, it's exciting. Therapy center. Addiction recovery place. I didn't know that much about it. My friend had said, it's awesome. It's powerful. I was already a personal growth and development junkie at that point in my life. So I said, okay, cool, let's go. Really hard experience for me. However, and amazing experience. I transformed so much. I experienced Satori. You know that word? It's a Buddhist term that means a glimpse of enlightenment. It's when you're enlightened, however, not forever. You go back. So by the end of my experience, I was on top of the mountain. I was high. I was, it was just blissful. I mean, amazing. And the day I left, and I was with my friend John, and we had a couple days before we flew back to Spain. So we were hanging out in Holland. Guess what I did? Immediately went to the coffee shop, which if you don't know Amsterdam, and I don't know if it's still that way, but what that meant then was get really high quality marijuana. Yeah. It really wasn't the best choice. It could have been worse. There could have been worse choices. What I did for the next 2 days was get stoned and stoned. Why did I do that? You might ask. You might ask, why? Why would I do that? Well, one is because I didn't know then what I'm sharing with you now, right? 2 is because whenever any of us make a shift in our identity, right? And in case you haven't seen it, remembered, if we go back to this series, it's a series for those who wish, right? This video will be a standalone, don't worry. In the first one, we discovered why affirmations fail. In the second one, we said, well, what to do about it? Compassionate self-healing. In the third one, we discovered how to really create through your Supreme Self Manifesto. In the fourth one, we talked about how to activate and cultivate that Supreme Self. Now, why do any of us slip back? Right? We have a breakthrough, an insight, a discovery. Maybe you've had that at an event, a seminar. Maybe you've had it on your own in meditation, through therapy. I don't know. I've had it all those ways. The problem, the challenge is we mistake inspiration for transformation. Inspiration is cool. It's not transformation and it's not integration though. One of my heroes, Ram Dass, he put it this way. In case you don't know him, in the late 60s, early 70s, he and some other revolutionaries were doing these experiments called the LSD experiments or something like that, right? And that was a discovery into human potential. And the way he put it is, I would take this big dose of acid, right? And then I would discover who I really was, the secrets of the universe. I would see my place in it. And right after that, 2 days later, I'd be the same old asshole I was before. Right? And that's so often what happens. So what's the solution? Or let's actually touch on why does this happen first? Because we are like thermostats. Thermostat, in case you don't know, if you live in a place where you don't have air conditioning or heating, it's often a thing on the wall. Used to be a dial, and I don't see those very often anymore. Most often it's digital now, and it's how we set the temperature for our environment. These words are important. They will come back. We set the temperature, and since I'm in the US right now, I'll use Fahrenheit. And what's a good temperature? 70 degrees. We'll say that. Set the temperature at 70 degrees. Now, if it's a hot day outside, external conditions, and it heats up, the house goes from 70 to 71 to 72, 73. That's where the thermostat communicates with the cooling system, and it says, whoa, it's getting too hot. We need air conditioning, bring the temperature down. So then it brings the temperature down, 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 goes to 70, and it keeps going, 69, 68, 67. What happens then? The thermostat says, whoa, it's getting too cold. Communicates with the air conditioner, and the air conditioner turn off, air conditioner turns off. And then because it's hot out there, the temperature goes back up, 68, 69, 70. It's a regulation system. And we are like that. You could call it a set point. We all have a set point. One for happiness, one for wealth, one for physical vitality, health, right? And here's what happens. If we get too happy, if we get happy beyond our set point, it feels weird. If we have too much money, and this is why so many people have this experience, and I've done it too, where we have these big financial breakthroughs, discoveries, and then we lose it. We go back, right? A lot of studies on lottery winners points to this. So our set point says, this is who I am. Remember, identity, what we call being. Okay, so that's how it works. That's who we are. Now, what do we do about it? Does that mean we're doomed? No, right? So we learn inspiration's cool. It's not the whole deal. Then what happens? We go out after the big thing. And I didn't know this when I was in Holland. Oh, by the way, it got worse. I'm a little embarrassed to say this. Not only did I spend 2 days stoned out of my head, I also then said, ooh, I better take some of this with me. Yeah, right. Genius thought. Smuggled dope out of Amsterdam all the way back to Spain. I wouldn't advise that. Luckily, Spirit was with me and it got me through it okay. Right? But do you see what I did? Let's just double check that. Right? The thermostat went way up. Right? A Satori, bliss, and an unconscious internal voice said, dude, that's not you. That's not who you are. That's not your set point. Right? That's too good for who you are. So, and that was painful to feel that. Great way to not feel that pain. Well, actually not a great way to not feel that pain. An effective way to not feel that pain was marijuana. Okay, so that's what I did. Right? And I'm not actually ashamed or bothered by it because I was doing the best I could at the time. And I'm guessing you've had experiences where you disassociated in some way, you escaped from the discovery. Don't know. In any case, let me know and drop it in the comments if you're here with me live, or send me a message, right? Okay, so inspiration is not transformation. Another important thing is we tend to think, until we learn better, that resistance equals failure, right? We say things like, I thought I was done with that, right? It shouldn't be this hard. I don't feel like the new me anymore. What happened? Right, and here's a great analogy for it. I believe I got this from Mastery by George Leonard. Incredible book. Right? He describes it this way. When we are having an experience where, especially a rapid one in a seminar, or maybe you've had it through writing out your manifesto and starting to speak it and activate and cultivate, you're like, wow, expanding. Right? It's like we're going up this mountain and it feels really good to ascend. Right? And maybe there are challenges, maybe it takes effort. Yeah, for sure. Feels good though. And then we get to this new vision. new sight. The world opens up new possibilities. And then something happens, and because no mountain goes up forever, right? Then we come down, right? And we come down and it's like, whoa, where'd it go? Where'd the bliss? Where's my view of what I had before? It feels bad. And then it's easy to think, oh, this didn't work, right? Because we have the illusion that we're just going to go straight up forever. No, man. There are peaks and valleys, right? There are moments of ascension and that we get to a peak and then we come down or we hit a plateau. That's okay, right? Resistance is our friend. It says, ooh, I'm on the right track. Okay. And how do we work with resistance then, right? Because bottom line here, y'all, is if we say, this is who I really am, our supreme self, guess what's going to happen? Everything that's not that is going to come up. It's going to rise to the surface. Why? So we can love it, forgive it, heal it, integrate it, make friends with it. And then it doesn't have power over us anymore. So, number one, understand resistance. We got 3 keys for your integration. That's number 1. Number 2, your environment. Upgrade the inputs and environment. What are you taking in? When I was a kid, I was a fat boy because I grew up on the SAD, Standard American Diet. And it's fairly obvious if we eat a whole bunch of junk food, we're going to turn into junk, right? My yoga teacher, Dharma Mitra, from many years ago, he used to say, if you eat fried food, you become fried. If you eat boiled food, you become boiled. If you eat dead food, you become dead. Sorry. No offense, Dharma. No offense, anybody that's from India. That was a horrible accent, I know. Okay. So your environment, what you input, and the Standard American Diet, or any diet that brings us down. And it's food, yes, but it's also media. Right? What are we paying attention to? Is it social media? Is it doom scroll? Or are we reading things that inspire us? Are we listening to podcasts or audiobooks like The Art of Spiritual Leadership? What do we do with our discretionary time? You got responsibilities. You're not going to do what I did for the first years and be full-time personal development junkie. Probably, maybe, I don't know. But we got responsibilities. Maybe you have family, job, home, children, things that require your attention. However, guaranteed there are other times when you're traveling, maybe when you're walking, working out, right? When you're watching a movie that doesn't actually help any, doom scrolling, all those things. Whew, what if we take the energy from that and bring it here into feeding us that which is inspiring, that which lifts us up the mountain? Now, on environment, I wish I could take you into my bathroom right now. Pardon me if that sounds weird, because one of the things you see in my bathroom or in the studio here, if you looked behind where the camera is, what you would see is words. What else would you see? And not just words, but words that remind me of truth, that uplift me, that remind me of who I am, right? There's an altar, and an altar has images and sacred items. And these are useful because they remind me of where I'm going, who I am, right? So your environment counts. What about one of the most important things in your environment? The people you hang out with. Now, good news, bad news. Which do you want first? Okay, it's the bad news. The bad news is if you upgrade who you are being and stick with it, commit to it, and keep it going, your people are going to change. Some relationships aren't going to work anymore. How does it work? You're not a vibrational match anymore. It's not that they're wrong or bad or that it's not even that you don't love them. It's just that vibrationally you don't fit. Great line I heard from Joe Dispenza once. You can put this on your greeting with your phone. Somebody calls, you're not there, they get your voicemail, and what does it say? Hey, thanks for calling. I'm making some upgrades in my life right now. I'm making some improvements in my life right now. If you're one of them, I'll call you back. Okay, that might be a little harsh. Still, there's truth in it. Okay, good news. Other people will appear as if by magic. You will find your next tribe, your next group of people that really do fit for you. Right? Jim Rohn said it this way: we become the average of the 7 people we hang out with most. Important. Okay, now, third key, make it who you are. Right? Question: did you brush your teeth this morning? Maybe, probably, yes. And now, did that take you discipline? Was it on your to-do list? Was it hard? No. It's because that's who you are. Remember, the river of causality is this: who we are being leads to our thoughts and our words and our actions and the results we get. So as you continue on this path, you're shifting who you are being. It's the most important part. Now, as that shift happens, your part X, we called it before, your old self, the conditioned self, will scream, shout, kick, whine, because it doesn't want to die. You could call it an ego death, you could call it an old part dying. It doesn't like that. And that's okay. We can listen to that, we can hear it, we can ignore it, and we can move on, right? Because every time you say, thank you for your input, we're going this way, your supreme self wins. You win. Now, how do you do this? Lots of ways. We've talked about some. What I recommend also, right, is upgrade the conversation going in your head. What does that mean? Why do you do that? Everything in our lives, everything we create, and we're creating all the time, intentionally or by default, is coming through conversation. The stories, the narrative, what we say to ourselves, what we say out loud, that's also part of how we understand who we are being. So to upgrade your conversation, well, some of it is read a book, right? A book, what's a book? It's somebody speaking to you. And if you're choosing your books well, it's somebody who's accomplished something, who's become something that you aspire to, that you admire, right? And so you hear what's going on in that head, the head of that author, and you get to say, oh, there's new choices. There's new ways of looking at things. I hadn't thought of that before. That's a great way to do it. Another, like you're doing right now, is listen to someone who shares something that's useful. And we got so many opportunities for that these days in audio form and in video form. Another great one is to get support, right? Be in communities, and there are so many great communities that you can access for free these days, where the conversation is positive, uplifting, who we are becoming. Beyond that, get in conversation with a coach. You could call it a mentor, a teacher, right? Doesn't have to be me. However, I would recommend that it is me. If you've made it this far, that must mean that we're alike in some way, that you understand me in some way, that maybe even you trust me in some way. I don't know. Because when you're in a conversation with a coach, it's expedited, it's cranked up, a good coach, right? And in the conversation we have in a coaching context, right, and that you observe me have with other clients, what happens is, again, it shifts the conversation in your own head. I love it when my clients have breakthroughs. Right? I just heard from a client the other day who went from social media, 500 to 45,000 in the course of a few months. right? And why is that important? Because that's part of how he loves, cares for, reaches people, and part of how he builds his business. How did he do that? He created a different conversation in his head. I love it when clients have financial breakthroughs, double their income, increase their net worth. Awesome. Happens all the time. What I love more, though, that I hear frequently, is they love themselves more and they are able to coach themselves. That's the most beautiful thing, and that's the goal of all of my work with people. Right? So, I have an invitation for you, and that is, let's have a 15-minute conversation, right? Because if you've come this far, you got a sense of what's possible for you. You've seen it, you felt it, maybe you've written it out, maybe you've spoken it out. So, are you going to continue on your own? Or do you want to move powerfully into your next level with support and guidance on a path that's proven to work? So, what happens in a 15-minute conversation? Why would that be worth your 15 minutes? One, I will help you clarify what's best for you to move forward. I'll get to know you, which is a gift for me. Thank you very much. And if I believe I can serve you powerfully, I will offer you a powerful coaching session. No cost, no pitch, just service to you. Now you might say, why would you do that? I'll tell you why. One, because I love serving. The more I serve, the better is my life. Two, I really would love to get to know you. Three, that's part of how I work in the world. I spend a little bit of time with a lot of different people. I help them to see things that can be different in their life, in their business. That's a joy. And some of those people at some point say, I would like to make a bigger commitment and work with you. And when that happens, if it's a fit, we do some really amazing work together. And we can do that if you want. Talk about that, or not. Totally open. My commitment to you, though, is that'll be could be the best 15 minutes of your week or your year, or maybe your whole life. And I say that because I've heard that from others so many times. All right, y'all. Thank you for being on this journey with me. Thank you for being someone who takes action, not only interested in more vibrancy and thriving in your life, becoming your supreme self, not only interested or curious, you're serious enough to be here. And hopefully you've done the work of healing, forgiveness, creating your supreme self. And I hope for you that it's important enough that you use and create a daily ritual. As you change, as your life becomes better, you change the world. So again, thank you. I love you. Aloha.